Welcome to Business Chats, sponsored by HR Simplified. Today we've got Wimpie. He's joining us from a company called Nichecom, but you can tell us a bit more about that. And yes, so welcome to our show today. Thanks, Wimpie.
Hi, good morning, Michael. Thank you very much for inviting me. So basically, Niche started the UK company which own us as well. Basically, they started in 1994, doing various marketing services or products to the real estate industry within the UK.
Yeah.
And they quickly expanded and realized that there's a need for a production office to do a bit of a back-end production for them based on the marketing that they do for the agents. So the floor plans that they draw up, the photos that they take, the virtual tours, the brochures, all of that work, they've seen that employing loads of people in the UK is expensive to do that. So they saw the need to find a outsourced partner to take over that role. And this is basically how Niche started in SA.
Nice.
For the beginning, I think they sent their work to Zimbabwe as a start, and then in 2002 they appointed an MD and started an office in Cape Town. And it started with a little team of I think like 5 people. Started with floor plans, so they employed draftsmen to draw floor plans for them, which the agents in turn then use as part of their marketing for properties that go onto the market to be sold.
Okay. Cool.
And then the photos got introduced a bit later, so they gradually built a bigger office in Cape Town. I started with Niche SA in 2003.
Cool.
And then
so were you part of the original team that kind of got things going there?
No, I left 2003. We started in 2003. Then I left to the UK to do just I think back then they called it the 2-year working holiday visa.
Okay.
So my girlfriend at the time, she finished her studies and said she wants to go and travel and pay off her student loans. I said, well, I'm going to go with you. We'll do the traveling and working thing.
Yeah.
And as luck would have it, there was a position at the Nichecom office in the UK. They immediately offered that to me. I started there within a month of resigning, and spent about 4 years in the UK office.
Okay, so that's how you got into the company. Okay.
Yes, so worked there for about 4 years, and then there was a new product being launched, and they offered me a job back in South Africa to run and head up this new department, which was a perfect timing because my girlfriend at the time, we got engaged, so it was a good opportunity to come back, get married, and we've got a job back in SA again. So did that for a couple of years, and then the current MD, he resigned and he left in 2009, and then I got promoted to director, running the operation.
Nice.
Back then it was still, so it's a long journey, and I've been with Niche now going on 18 years.
That you don't see these days anymore. Eh? People don't stay that long with companies. That's impressive.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a long journey, ups and downs, but I think for the most part, it's been exciting, and we've seen it and grown in massive strides. And I think our biggest growth was possibly now during this pandemic. We had one of our best years ever,
really?
in the history of Niche, and I think a lot has got to do with the virtual tour offerings that the UK have now started doing. They've with the use of the technology, we've got virtual tours taking the industry by storm because of you can't do physical viewings. There's lockdowns. People are afraid. They don't want 50 people in and out their property.
Of course. So has the market in the UK been affected by like the property sales market, or has it actually gone up? Or
we've seen a massive uptake, purely because their government has done quite a lot to assist the market, where they've said they've given what they've called a stamp duty holiday. So they would any property that's up until £500,000, they would scrap the stamp duty on that. So everybody's putting on their properties onto the market to try and save on the stamp duty that they were due to pay. So that's seen our numbers massively increase. Yes, and that
Fair enough.
holiday is
Yeah,
literally just come to an end now. So, for the whole
sure.
of last year, 18 months, we had, really good business.
Well, the thing is, obviously the necessity there for COVID, meaning because you, like you said, you can't go visit a house, or you can't go walk to somebody's
Yes,
house.
yes,
So the
yes.
necessity of moving things online, even more so, has now obviously grown that. Even though the
Yeah,
market might not have increased, it would have still increased your business. So
correct.
how does Nichecom South Africa cope during the COVID pandemic with working from home? Do you guys work from home, or do you is it still office now?
Yes, we've got about a 60-40 split, so
Mhm.
we've got a bit of a hybrid going. I think um, the guys that literally cannot work at home, they are in the office,
Okay,
and
cool.
that the guys that can work from home, we've sent
Mhm.
home,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
their PCs, we've set them up and virtual network setup and the rest
Cool.
of it. So yeah,
So
we're doing really well.
okay, that's good. And tools that you guys use? Do you use something like Microsoft Teams to do your meetings, or is there other tools?
Yeah, we do the Zoom and the Microsoft Teams, and we've used Slack to communicate, and
Nice.
everything that we can, we utilize. I mean, right in the beginning, we set up all the WhatsApp groups and WhatsApp
Hmm.
calling, and that was a bit of us frustrating at sometimes. But
Yeah,
then Zoom and the
those things
Google
work.
Teams, yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
because the other issue you guys have, I mean, obviously being graphic designers and using Photoshop, I imagine for a lot of the work you do, you can't do
Yeah.
that on a small PC. You need a proper machine.
Yeah, so we don't have laptops or anything. So right in the
Yeah,
beginning, everybody was sent home with their big
with a whole
towers and the big
workstation.
monitors, the whole
Yes, yes,
station, and some of them actually took some of the desks with them because they weren't set up at home. So
yes.
we've done all that for them and
Oh, that's
got it all
nice.
done.
That's really, because I mean, it's an industry. A lot of people don't think about that. We all have laptops. I was speaking earlier to you about the Mac OS thing. So now you've got a choice. Either you go rent the online Mac OS as a service, which costs you a lot of money
Yeah,
every month, or you go
yeah,
buy a Mac device, which costs you about 3 months worth of software as a service price.
yes,
So now
yes,
you need to decide, but what is the better one to do? And I'm assuming in
yeah.
your case, yeah, the guys had to go. So are you doing asset tracking around that? Are you making, is there insurance on those kind of things? How does the business handle that?
Yes, yes, yeah, that's the thing. We've done all of that, and I think for us the biggest issue we had was for the photography side of things. It was easy because it's
Yeah.
all online and it's all via our work
Hmm.
management system. But a lot for the floor plan guys, we had to when they were in the office, we literally had to print thousands of pages every day. Which when we
Yo.
sent them home, we
Yeah.
can't buy 50 printers and send that with
Yeah. Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
person as well. So
Yeah.
what we had to do is either buy a second screen so that they can have the floor plan on one
Hmm.
side and actually
Hmm.
redrawing it on the other side. So our printing expenses have actually gone down
That's nice.
because we don't need to print, and I think it's
Yeah.
also good for the environment. We'll
Yeah.
be printing a
Green.
lot less.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
but yeah, just to get back to the asset tracking, yeah, that's I think something that we've had to
Mm.
take control of,
Look up. Yeah.
and the challenge we've had there is that the insurance was a bit of a concern, but
Hmm.
lucky enough our insurance understood the
Mm-hmm.
situation and helped us quite a bit there. But then the problem that I do have is when people resign and they're working from home, trying to get that equipment back to the office
Yeah, I
safe
was just
and
about
not
to ask that.
damaged. And
Yes, yes.
so yesterday was actually a good example. We had a person resign. He had to bring his uh, equipment back to the office,
Mhm.
and he didn't have any transport. He couldn't get it to us, so I booked him an Uber, thinking he was
Oh,
coming
wow.
with
Yeah,
his
yeah.
equipment, to say bye. Anything, and all the equipment only rocked up at the office, and he was nowhere to be found.
Get an Uber for a
So,
PC.
so
That's an
that was a bit
interesting one.
funny, but we got our
Hmm.
stuff back. So yeah,
Yeah, the other option, I think, in
yeah,
that case, maybe for the people that's listening, is also the fact that you could potentially get online, let's say, beefy VMs that could do this kind of thing and just have it done in terminal though. But I
yes,
think that if it comes to something like graphic design, where you want to have a responsive environment, you don't really have time to
correct.
work on a remote desktop. So that might not be the
That
best thing.
no, yes,
So tell me, on the other side, Nichecom has been around for a while. So listening to the story you told me earlier, the Nichecom was started in South Africa as Nichecom. They didn't come in and buy another company.
no. There was
Yeah.
literally yes, the owner, Mr. South. He literally, I think he spoke to yeah friends at the cricket club in England
Mhm.
who were traveled quite a bit, and
Yes,
said to
yes.
him, Cape Town, South Africa is the perfect opportunity to set up this outsource office. So he literally came here on holiday, I think, met a few people, and then said, well, it's he started basically from scratch. There was no
Oh, that's
companies that he
nice.
bought or anything like that. So he
Yes,
was all
yes.
funded himself.
So how does that impact your business practices? I mean, do you still register with SIPC as a South African business?
Yes, we're an entity on our own.
Mhm.
He is just the owner or
The
the
owner,
majority
yes,
shareholder.
the
So
major. Yeah,
yes.
okay,
So
okay, okay.
yeah. So I think that's there's um I think from a UK ownership perspective, if people thinking about setting up, outsourced offices or offices in other countries, um, you know, the people you put in charge, you need to trust. I think trust is
Yeah,
such a big
yeah.
role in setting up
A
a
remote,
outsourced
yes,
or
definitely.
remote type office.
Mm,
Because you're not there hands on every day, you need
mm.
somebody that you can trust that's going to run the business, meet the
Mm.
goals, and make sure things tick over, and all the
Yeah.
things are done the way they should be done.
Okay.
So I think having spent 17 years with the company,
Yeah, yeah.
I think I'm probably one of
Probably
those
almost
trustworthy people
longer
in the UK.
there, almost longer than the owner. I mean, my career started, funny enough, at a small company that then grew into Bytes. It was sold out a few times. I ended up working for Bytes back in the day, and then I
Okay.
left and I went to another smaller company. I worked there for a while, and they were bought over by Altron. And at the end of the day,
Okay.
the Eltron that moved into Bytes. So I ended up being with Bytes again. So if I took the entire Bytes thing, it was 20 years worth
Yes.
of working for
Wow.
Bytes.
Wow.
Although it was like 8 or 9 companies, and I never
Yes.
resigned. It was always moving into being bought over by the next companies. It was an
Right.
interesting ride,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
yeah. So so is there anything else that that you think, from somebody wanting to maybe do a business in South Africa that comes from the UK? You mentioned a few things there. I know one of the challenges I think that you guys have is, what about labor law and that kind of thing? So I know that you guys work on the UK public holiday system rather than the South African one.
Yes.
And is
Yeah.
that a challenge with the employees? Do they try and do they understand it? Do they say
Yeah.
no, I
Look,
don't want to do it?
no, the thing is, when we recruit, and all our recruiters know as well that we try and sell the position as you're working for a South African company owned by a UK entity.
Yes.
And a lot of the employees and the recruiters see it as almost an advantage, because you're getting that international exposure even though you're sitting in South Africa.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I think doing things like this, and I know the call center industry in Cape Town is massive, the
Mm.
BPOs, and I think a lot of people see the advantage of setting up offices in a place like Cape Town. You've got, I don't say it's cheaper labor force, but it's definitely not
Mm.
cheaper than setting
Mm.
up something in London or in the UK. So you've
Mm.
got that from a business perspective, but then you're also creating jobs in South Africa that we know is 40-50% unemployment rate. So
Yeah, exactly.
you want that investment, you want those companies setting up
Mm.
here, and I think Cape Town government is probably doing the better job of the
Mm.
rest of the country in terms of attracting those type of investments here.
Exactly.
But just coming back to the labor side of things, our company's done quite a bit. If we do, you mentioned the public holidays, so we
Mm.
work on the SA public holidays, and we offer
Mm.
the guys double pay for that day, and then they
Nice.
will get the UK holidays they would get off. So it's
That is
there's a
nice.
pro and a yeah, there's a pro
Yeah.
and a con to that. I mean, the UK holidays aren't as many as the SA ones,
Mm-hmm.
and your friends and family will be working when you're off, and vice versa. So
Yes, yes.
um,
Well, they
so
are they
you've
are
got that.
similar days. They are like the Christmas and those things will be the
Yes,
same.
Christmas and
It's the other
Easter.
days. Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
it.
That's nice.
And then we introduced little things like what we call attendance bonus.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I've known and seen firsthand what absenteeism can do to a business, just
Yeah.
your production levels.
Mm.
And if you run a staff complement of 100 people,
Mm.
you're going to have people off sick, or you're going to have people almost abusing their sick leave.
Mm.
So we introduced a thing called the attendance bonus, which we pay you every quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So for this year, we've increased that now. So every quarter, an employee who's not been sick or ill or late or any absenteeism in that quarter would
Mm-hmm.
receive 2,200 Rand as an
Wow.
incentive.
That's
So I
nice.
call it free money
Yeah.
because, you don't have to work any harder or longer shifts or,
Yeah.
reach targets or anything. You
Yeah.
just need to
Yeah.
be in the office and you get that money. So that's
That's
a
really
nice
nice.
little
Yeah, I think that's
little
something.
incentive.
Yeah, especially now. But
But
so how do you track that with working from home?
that is, yeah, slightly difficult, but also I don't want to force people to work if they're ill. I mean,
Yes,
especially now during
yes.
the pandemic, you don't want people coming into the office if they've got COVID.
Mm,
So,
mm, mm.
people need to understand that, the screening is important. And I think that's
Yeah,
where a lot,
yeah.
the HR simplified system helps quite a bit with that.
Cool.
But the tracking, yeah, we've got team leaders that would, on their
Check
little
in and make sure.
checking, make sure that their staff is in, and if they're not in, why, where they are.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's worked for the most part, and I can definitely see our production levels are maintained, and we're doing good numbers.
So have you seen an increase in productivity maybe? I know a lot of people are reporting that with COVID and people working from home.
Yes, I think for me personally, I don't think working from home or remotely is in everybody's arsenal. I think
Yes,
there's a
yes,
lot of
yes. Yeah,
people
very
that
much.
need supervision. There's a lot of people that need
Yeah.
to
They're
be
just
in that
not
office.
mature enough, yeah, to be in that position.
Yeah, so that's probably a good word. But I think definitely that I can see people who worked in the office whose numbers were low or lower
Mm,
or
mm.
average, and then as soon as they started working home, their numbers massively increased. So
Yeah.
there's definitely a lot of people that shown that maturity and started doing
Yes,
more
yes.
than what they did in the office, for instance.
I think there's a lot of psychology behind that, where people actually they work harder because they want to kind of show that they're busy. They don't want people
Yes,
thinking they're sitting at home doing nothing.
correct.
So people
Yes,
overwork. They normally work longer hours. If you want to
yes,
ask, you're not asking that of them, but they do.
yes.
I mean, myself, we also, our offices and everything is remote, so we don't need
Mm,
to. Well, we do have an
mm,
office; we don't have to go there. And I would
yeah,
7 o'clock in the morning, if I'm done and I've got something I've nothing to do, I will go sit and work because what else is
correct.
there to do? So
Yes,
it does
exactly.
increase. It definitely does. But well, I think it's important to keep an eye on your staff, and it sounds like you guys are doing from
Mm,
a well-being point of view as well, by offering things like these bonuses for attendance
yes,
and so on, which is
yes.
the first time I've seen that being done. And I think it's an interesting concept, and that should be explored a bit more, maybe by the listeners, and see if they can't implement something like that as well.
Yes. Funny enough, you should say that I think it was like four years probably ago. There was I think Rob Vember on KFM at the time,
Oh yeah,
evening drive home. They were talking about sick and getting paid or you're not getting paid if you're sick and stuff like that. And I just sent a little voice note saying that this is what we do, and I immediately got so many phone calls, and he
oh,
phoned me, and I
nice,
had to be in studio and to answer a few questions. So because
nice,
there was a new concept for them as well, they were like,
yeah,
"Wow, that's just amazing." So yeah, I think definitely there's businesses can introduce things like that if they
yeah,
see that their absenteeism is affecting their work,
yeah.
and it's a nice little reward for your staff. I mean, there's instead of I used to just compare it to when we were at school. You would get a
Mm.
little certificate at the end of the year. Oh, you've never been off sick, or
Yes, yes, yes,
you get the
yeah.
little certificate. I just say, well, I'm giving you money for that.
Mm.
It's the same thing.
And it's
So
a thank you, because at the end of the day, if you're not losing that productivity, you are
yes,
actually getting more productivity out of them, which means you are making
exactly.
that extra money. And I think it's
Yeah,
very, it depends on the business, obviously. It will only work if you're a labor force type of business. If you
yeah,
are in manufacturing, where you have machines doing most of the work, then obviously that won't
no,
help much.
yes,
But yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think in a business like yours and us, where it's very heavily dependent on people, yeah,
yeah.
that definitely does make it. And I think that's something to own up to. It's a very
Mm,
good approach, and I think you guys are
yeah.
doing a nice job there. Very well.
Yeah,
Cool, man.
thank you so much.
So I think that's pretty much it. And I want to thank you for your time. It was nice
My
catching up and
pleasure.
and going through all the what you guys do and so on. And I think I've looked at some of the Nichecom websites in the UK, and it's really nice.
Mm,
I think you guys are doing a professional job. It's
thank you.
so the few times I've been at your office as well, it was nice sitting there watching these guys remove phone lines and and things to make the picture look nice. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's an interesting business, and I think you guys are doing well. So thank you for your time. I appreciate that, and
thank you for having me.
you must have a nice day further, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend.